Whatsoever I have commanded unto you, and lo, I will be with you even unto the end of the world. For a brief while tonight, I want to talk to you about the mandate of discipleship. The mandate of discipleship. My brothers and my sisters, I said in the past that these words are his last words. And if it's his last words when he was on earth, it comprised his living will. If it's his last words and his living will for a Christian church or a Christian believer, it ought to be our leading work. I want to remind you of some statements in the scriptures, my dears. The first statement I want to remind you of is the great commandment. The great commandment is found in Matthew chapter 22. In Matthew 22, verse 35, the Bible declares a lawyer asked him a question, tempting him, saying, which is the great commandment in the law? And Jesus answered and said unto them, the first is, thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy mind, and with all thy spirit, and thy neighbor as thyself. Have I got a witness in here? And then he says, upon these two hang all the law and the prophets. Jesus Christ, while talking with some lawyers and his disciples, they begged him in a corner to see which of the 673 laws of the Old Testament that Jesus would consider the most important. He said the bottom line with Christianity is that you love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, and soul, and love your neighbor as yourself. I often say the Christian religion is not just a vertical religion where your love runs from you up to God. The Christian religion is a horizontal religion where it not only runs from man to God, but from man to man. I think I ought to tell somebody you can't be saved and hate another human being. Somebody say amen. But not only is there the great commandment, there's also the great compassion. In John chapter 13, verse 34 and 35, Jesus says, a new commandment give I unto you, that you love one another as I have loved you, and by this shall all men know that you are my disciples, when you shall have love one for another. So he's saying, my dears, our money don't define our Christianity. Our membership don't define our Christianity. Our magnificent buildings don't define our Christianity. What defines our Christianity is when we have love one for another. He says, sinners may hear our sound, but they ought to see our sensitivity. They might come to our church, but they ought to feel our charm. They might hear us under the word, but they ought to feel welcome when they're in our presence. Amen, somebody. The Rock Church want to be a church that exemplifies some great compassion. I wish I had a witness in here. I got a witness. They say the great commandment, the great compassion. But then, my dear, there's the great commitment. Jesus again, Luke chapter 9, verses 23 to 26. Jesus declared, if any man comes after me, he must first deny himself. He must take up his cross and follow me daily. He says, for whosoever shall lose his or save his life shall lose it. And whosoever shall lose his life for my sake, the same shall save it. He says, what does it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? I read a story today about a man named Chip Ingram that said that he graduated fourth in his class. He had already had cars. He had enough cash to loan his parents some money to buy some acreage on 3% return. At the end of his graduation night, he sat in the floor and felt empty. They said you were successful, you at the top of the class, you got an academic and an athletic scholarship, you ought to be happy and full of joy. He said the stock reality was I was empty. He says I played out the next phase of my life. I'm going to college. I'm going to be a part of the honor society. I'm going to graduate. I'm going to get a job and make a whole lot of money. And at the end of the day, I'm going to be more empty then than I am now. I think I ought to tell you, my dears, more cars and more cash, more comforts, more commodities, and more companions are not going to bring you joy. The only thing that's going to bring you joy is more commitment to Christ. The more we give ourselves to him, the more he gives himself back to us. It's called a great commitment. This same verse is in Matthew, Mark, and John. And he adds some stuff to the verse. He says, whosoever does not hated his father and mother more than he loved me shall in no wise be in my disciple. Somebody said, is he saying you ought to hate your mom and daddy? No, he's saying your love for God ought to be so big in comparison that your love for your parents begins to pale because Christ got number one in your life. I wish I had a witness in here, and I tell you, I serve a church like this. It's a lot of folk going to hell because of what Big Mama think. It's a lot of folk that are not going to the next level because of what Uncle so-and-so think. I got a first cousin that's divorced and alone because what her mama told her to do. I wish I had a witness in here tonight. Your only commitment ought to be unto the Lord. I don't want to be arrogant tonight, but God ought to have first and last place in your life, because another human being ain't got a heaven or hell to send you to. There's a great commandment, there's a great compassion, but then there's a great commitment. But my dears, I want you to know about the great compensation. The great compensation, there's going to be a day when every person that's ever been born has to stand before the Lord Jesus Christ. We got to give an account for the thing that we did or didn't do. I wish I had a witness in here. And some folk think just coming to church is enough. Reverend, I come, I contribute, and I'm charismatic. I praise and pray and I pay. I wish I had a witness in here. But Matthew 25 verse 31 says, when the Son of Man shall come into his glory, he shall sit upon the throne of his glory. All of his holy angels shall be with him, and all nations shall be gathered together before him, and he shall separate them one from another, as a shepherd separates his sheep from his goat. He shall put the sheep on his right hand, but the goat on the left. Then shall he say unto them on his right hand, come ye blessed of my Father, and inherit the kingdom which is prepared for you from the foundation of the world. He said, for when I was hungry, you gave me meat. When I was thirsty, you gave me drink. When I was a stranger, you took me in. When I was naked, you clothed me. When I was sick, you visited me. When I was in prison, you came unto me. The Bible says, then shall the righteous say unto him, when saw we thee in hunger, and gave thee meat, or thirst, and gave thee drink? When saw we thee a stranger, and took thee in, naked, and clothed thee? When saw we thee sick or in prison, and came and ministered unto thee? He says unto them on his right hand, inasmuch as you've done it unto the least of these my brethren, you've done it unto me. The passage keep on going. The rest of the verse from 42 to 46, he says, and shall he say to those on his left, be ye cast into everlasting punishment, ye prepared for the devil and his angels. And they says, how come? He said, for when I was hungry, you gave me no meat. When I was thirsty, you gave me no drink. When I was sick and in prison, you came not and ministered unto me. That group said, when saw we thee a hunger or a thirst or a stranger or naked or sick for in prison. And he said, inasmuch as you did it not unto the least of these, you've done it not unto me. I think I need to tell somebody how you treat people is how you're treating God. How you don't treat people is how you don't treat God. I mean, if you look down on somebody, you're looking down on God. If you fail to feed somebody hungry, you're failing to feed God. If you turn out somebody that needs shelter, then you're turning out God. I heard a story once about a woman that was cleaning her house. She had a dream that Jesus was coming by. And when she was doing the floors, a little boy came by